Hello and welcome yet again to another art stream. Today we are going to be working on just some random art. Last week we worked on our notifications for when things on Twitch were to happen. If this is your first time joining me, hello, my name is Nova. I am trying to get my foot in the hold of being able to do some streams every single week. I am supposed to stream every Friday. However, we're going to be doing a stream today because yesterday I was very sick. Um, Unfortunately, it was the type of sick where I couldn't just come on and sound gross and power through anyway. I definitely had to take some time for myself. So, apologies to anyone who was looking forward to the stream yesterday. Hopefully, you will agree with me that it's better late than never. And here we are. But as I said earlier, we're going to be doing some random art today. I don't have anything too specific in mind. I was thinking that we will start with a warm up, which I have an image here from a site that I like to use sometimes called Sketch Daily References. It's a very simple website where they have models of any gender in just about any pose. They have um, nude models as well as clothed models. I, of course, have chosen one today that she is wearing clothing. I don't really know how Twitch would react to having artistic nudity. I don't think that's something that would go off too well in their specific um, requirements for what's allowed. I'd have to look into that. So I was thinking we'll start with a little bit of a warm up today and then maybe work on some Twitch emotes, which, as you can see here, I've got my lovely references. Um, can't wait to use them. And we'll see how that goes. So, without further ado, let's get started. When I like to work on images that have a reference, I don't always like to look at the reference in detail, at least not at first. If it's for lighting, then I think it's okay to look at it in a more detailed way. However, I believe that it's very good to get the general shape and vibe down, if you will, of how the image looks and feels to you. So, like with this, it's very flowy. Have a little bit of a curve at the end thing. And so we're not really going in for the details necessarily so much as the motion and just adding in the detail later will be more than enough. So we have a figure here, and then it comes down rather straight. I'm gonna give a little bit more curve to ours. It's okay to have to move your sketch around. That's something that I really enjoy about digital art is if you accidentally misuse your canvas, you can easily resize it, which is very nice, very convenient. And you have it. We have more or less the general shape that we want, as well as just the motion that we want. And then what I like to do for studies like this, if I'm wanting to make it a little bit more detailed, just feel a little bit more polished, is I'll actually make this first sketch lighter. And then we're going to go in with just a little bit more detail. And we're going to follow our first sketch, making revisions where we feel necessary. I'm going to go ahead and just revise this under sketch a little bit before we start to add on. We just really want to get some of these shadows and don't be afraid to just kind of scribble in the detail. So when it's a study like this, you're not really going for perfection. You're going for something that helps facilitate your learning and the specific vibe, again, I'm going to keep using that word a lot, that you're wanting in the image. For this image, I'm wanting her to look very flowy and like she's in the middle of the motion. Something that I enjoyed about this image and why I chose it is because I just very much like the look of the motion in her dress. Something that I very much enjoy about drawing from studies like this is the fact that these people are so creative with their own poses that it makes it easy for your art to turn out looking, I think, a lot more polished than it may have without a reference. You see, a lot of people who draw without references, well, have a struggle with stiff poses, myself included. I am no exception to this. I very much have problems with awkward, stiff posing. I've noticed that there's a a go-to position that I tend to draw when I don't really know what I want to be doing. And there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but it is good to every now and then just go out of your comfort zone and do something just a little different. Even if you have a more cartoonish art style, you can really benefit from having reference photos or um, just practicing anatomy, which I know is a very cliche thing to say. People who are trying to get into art are probably sick of hearing, oh, practice anatomy, practice, 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 but there is a reason why people say such things, and it's because it works. Without understanding the human form, it's hard to manipulate it into the ways that you want. When you look at people who seemingly can just draw from any position and have no problem with it, I can almost guarantee you the only reason why they're able to do that so well is because they have taken the time to learn the basic human form. Um, Knowing what muscles go where and how a body can turn is what helps people to figure out how it's supposed to look. And as you can see, I'm just kind of going through and darkening some lines that I feel need to have more emphasis. I don't think we're going to be focusing too much on this as it is just a warm-up, but we do want to make it look nice and just kind of play around with these shadows a little bit. Something that I like about fabric is just how messy you can make it look if it's very flowy like this, and it'll still make sense. Because your brain will kind of fill in the gaps a little bit about what is supposed to be where. And there we go. We just have a very nice figure here. Go ahead and shade in just a little bit more. If I was going to be spending more time on this, I might take out my paintbrush. There's a lot of very fun paintbrushes here. I like the gouache one. Show you what that looks like just a little bit. And I would take this and kind of just go through a little bit. That's rather dark. We want it to be a little bit lighter. There you go. And just go through and kind of add shadow where you feel is necessary. So my hand is rather dark, it's behind me, and then we have some little bits here. That's the back of her, since the light is coming from this direction. I'm gonna have all of these parts lit up. And there we go. Well, if any of you were here last week, you might realize that this is rather different than my typical art style. But again, as I was saying earlier, it's actually very beneficial for people to go and study some real life references, which I know can be rather boring for some, but personally, I find it relaxing. There's something very calming about just following a photo and kind of working off of that. Give that a little save. You don't want to forget to save your art. That is very unfortunate if ever your program is to close on you and you don't have what you've been working on for the past however long, which let's try to avoid that, shall we? Okay. Add another layer. Darken things even more. And this is where you can really make things contrast with each other a bit more. You want to have about 3 different shades of gray if you're going to be doing something like this. All ranging from the light gray that we're using here for the white parts to a dark gray that we're using for the much more blackened parts. And there you have it. Let's say that's about done. Gets the point across, I would say. You can remove the reference image and kind of look at what you have. If you want to move everything around altogether, you can create a folder and then just move these layers into this folder. And then you'll see if I put the little eye icon down, you'll be able to have all of it disappear. So you can just click and grab, but this will only do one layer at a time. So in order to move everything, we're going to want to, at least this is what I do, you lasso tool it. I'm sure there's another way. And then you can scale and rotate. And you want to make sure that you have the folder selected. If you have just one of these layers selected, it'll only move that specific layer, as you can see. And with that nice warm-up done, I think we can go ahead and move on to trying out some Twitch emotes, which unfortunately, all of these designs that I'm going to create will not be able to be used until I reach affiliate level. So if anyone is watching that likes these and you see any emotes that you would like to use, you can go ahead and support me on Twitch, and that will help me reach a level where I can actually publish these. So let's go ahead and get into it. As you can see with my little inspiration board here, I have I have some images of alien cats that I like, as well as some Twitch emotes that are done by other artists as inspiration for just the types of things that you would want in an emote. I have designed Twitch emotes in the past for other people, but this is going to be the first time of me designing some for myself. I decided it would be a good idea to have our little mascot as the emote. So we're going to go ahead and import an image of Glorp. Let's go ahead and use one where he has his mouth open. So we can just get all of the colors that we need. Yay, here's our little guy. That will also help us to have a color palette, which I do have on another page, but it'll be easier if you can just color drop from the same image. So we're going to go ahead and do these in folders. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and create a folder, and we will name this one Heart. There we go. And then we're also going to make another folder for our reference images, just so that way it's easier to turn off all of these images when I want this full screen here. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and put our sketch up into here. And let's get started. So we're going to go ahead and start like we do with all of our sketches, with a nice circle for where we want his head to be. And then, of course, Glorp has these nice chubby cheeks. And ears that are kind of rounded. And we want the heart to take up most of the image, I think. Or at least half of it. And we're going to go ahead and try to get as close as we can to the border there, just to really maximize all the pixels that we're going to get to use here. Since emotes are rather tiny, it's also very good to make sure to zoom out and picture the image from a distance, because when people use these in chat, they're going to be really, really tiny. Let's go ahead and move his head down a little bit. Maybe off to the side. We want him to look like he's struggling to hold this giant love. Like there's just so much, and it's difficult to hold. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and have him. What kind of face should he have? If the mouth is not able to be seen, I'm gonna maybe have his eyes closed. There we go. And give him his little antennae. And we have our sketch down, at least mostly. So I think we will also add just a little definitely needs to be another heart here. I don't know if it should be in a text bubble. I'm just kind of coming out like that. Pardon me. I think we're gonna go ahead and have it in a text bubble. There we go. Maybe make this heart just a little bit bigger, scale it up. Too big. Just about there. Alright, and then we're gonna get into the nitty gritty. Make sure that we have our mapping pen. Is the pen that I like to use. Does it have a nice little trail off to it, which helps you to control the line weight. And then we're gonna go ahead and start doing our line art. And it's okay if when you're drawing your line art, you end up going over some of the lines or correcting them in a way that doesn't follow the sketch perfectly. I think of the sketch as just a guideline, essentially, to create the shapes that you want. I'm gonna have his face just a little bit like that. I'm gonna make sure we have our hard eraser. Be able to clean up any of these lines where they overlap and you don't want it to. And there you go. His little eyes. And then go ahead and do the bottom set. There you go. how this one tapers off. So I'm gonna go ahead and just open it up. And then try to redraw this line in a way that we actually like. And there you have it. Make sure you clean up these lines just a little bit, again where they overlap. And then we're gonna go ahead and give him his little whiskers. I want them to be nice and thin. And we're gonna go ahead and give him his antennae. A lot of art is just, or at least digital art, is just redrawing the same line over and over again until you get one that you actually like. And there's not anything wrong with that necessarily, but it can definitely be tedious for some people. There we go. When you're drawing a long line like this, I feel it's always better that the less strokes that you can make the line that you want, the better. If you're having to make a line that's, say, like this, and you're just stroking along, obviously that is a style in of itself, but it's not very clean. And if you want a clean line, the best way to get that is to just do it in one long stroke, like so. And then just clean up what you dislike. If it's difficult for you to do it on a specific angle, you can always turn the canvas, which a lot of programs have the ability to do. Or you can do how I just did and kind of just connect the lines in as many little segments as possible. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and give him his little paws here. Again, we want to make it look like he's kind of struggling to hold this just a little bit because of how large the love is. It's just too much to hold. And there we go. Give him his cute little toe beans. I like to give just a nice curve shape to give the illusion of being more three-dimensional than he really is. And give him a little top of his head. And it's just about ready to color. So we're going to want to get our color palette all set up. Let's go ahead and open up our reference images. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to just color select all of these colors and place them down. So we've got our main teal. We've got the highlight for that. We have the light fluff and the dark fluff. And then here is the shadow for there we go. Then we also have to make sure to get the inner mouth and the tongue, and then the blush is also a separate color. Put it down there. And then the eyes. Gonna make sure that we get all the right blues. And the center of the eye. And then the highlight. And I believe that is it as far as the colors that we need. Obviously, we could also select this particular green for if we want to give him glowing antennae. So I'm gonna just go ahead and set that there, I guess. Try not to forget what that's for. Alright, now that we have our color palette down, we can go ahead and move that to the top here. And I just realized that we still need to give him his inner ear fluff, which is kind of heart-shaped. And just on its side there. Then we're going to make the speech bubble on a different hatch. Having technical difficulties here. Give me a moment. There we go. Make sure that we are not overdrawing where we need to go. Okay, clean up these lines a little bit. Make sure that it gets a nice little silhouette here. There you go. And the heart in the center. Okay, and then we can go ahead and take away our sketch and see how that looks. I think there's a little line here on his arm needs to exist. Just to make them look nice and chubby. And I'm going to go ahead and draw on the line for his markings. Making sure that all these overlapping lines get taken care of. Just so it looks a little bit more clean. And now we can go ahead and move on to the color, I believe. Something that I would like to do is go ahead and color drop from our notifications that we did last week. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to that page, and I'm going to be moving back and forth to just kind of color drop a few different more onto the palette. Ah, this is the wrong tab. I was going to talk about this later. So keep that in mind for later. This is don't worry about it right now. And this is the one that we were going to actually look at here. So I'm gonna go ahead and color drop this pink red color. And we're gonna go and put it here. And then we want this light pink color. And put it here. We want this light blue color. As well as this dark navy blue color that's more of a blue gray. Is this the same color? I don't believe so. I'm gonna want that as well. And then, last but certainly not least, we want this yellow color. I think that is it. Maybe the gray as well, just in case. Go ahead and take that gray here off that. And there you have it, our completed color palette. I'm gonna go ahead and make a new little layer here. And I'm gonna start filling in these hearts. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one first. And there we go. And then as far as a white color, so we're gonna definitely want a white color background. It's actually something that we can take from these placeholders as well. And zoom all the way in here and get that white, which I think is just a stark white. And just make sure that it's the right one. Is the background stark white? Ah, that would explain it. You may want this background to be gray. I was confused. We'll take that white and we're just gonna add that to the color palette here, along with this black that we're using. Just in case we accidentally lose that color at some point. Sometimes you color drop the wrong thing at the wrong time, and next thing you know, you've lost your whole palette. So that's why you want to have it down where you need it. Especially if you're going to be doing anything that has shading in it. Go ahead and fill that in. And then we're going to go ahead and get rid of that little lace line there. And the color for Glorp is going to be on its own layer as well. We're going to start by filling him in with the main color. I'm very glad that today I was feeling well enough to actually stream. Yesterday I felt very guilty about not being able to stream, but it, like I said in the very beginning, was just one of those days where even if you really wanted to power through the sickness, it's not exactly ideal. So that's how it goes sometimes, unfortunately. But also why I'm extra glad to be here today. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do today as far as art. So I'm still not exactly feeling 100%. Yesterday I was thinking that it was something that I ate, but the fact that it's continued more than one day suggests that it could be something else, could be a little more than just bad food. So hopefully within the next couple of days it'll actually continue to get better instead of worse. No one ever likes to be sick. Thankfully, something that helped me with my guilt is knowing that there really aren't too many watchers. So if you're hearing this sentence, then you are one of the very few. And congratulations, you are an ultimate hipster for being able to find an artist who has been missing for several years. Just randomly crawling out from the internet as if nothing ever happened. Here we go. Giving him his little markings. Because Glorp just doesn't feel like Glorp without him. Something that I really tried to keep in his design was very basic shapes and a lot of things that kind of resembled stars. The shape on his face is one of those where I wanted it to kind of look like a shooting star just a little bit. Here we go. Need the dark fluff part. Something that I will be planning on doing for future streams eventually is I would like to be be drawn art that will then be put onto a site that you can buy stickers from. Obviously, I have not created those stickers yet, but I think that will be kind of extra fun and special to have those be created on stream where people can go back and see the process of how those stickers came into existence. And then, of course, if anyone is watching that would like to purchase my art, they can then find it at a spot where they can do that. Another thing that I would very much like to be moving into is VTubing and PNG tubing. I definitely have the tools and the ability to create a PNG tuber. However, anytime that I have tried to create something that I enjoy, I end up disliking the design at some point or another. Have a difficulty with that. I've always been the type of person to change my profile picture far too often. And I think that that problem has kind of moved over into personas. It's hard to decide how you want to represent yourself to the internet, to strangers, because you have no idea when the next time you'll feel the need to change that. And unfortunately, brand recognition is a large part of VTubing and PNG tubing. Obviously, there are people who have very successful debuts without a plan to stick to the design. However, I would like something that I feel comfortable with being a reflection of me, even if it's for a little while until I decide to change it. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a save because it's been a while since the last time we did that. And then something that I like to do to really just make the art look more friendly is we're gonna make another layer here, and then we're going to have it clip to layer below. And what that will do is that will allow me to draw over these lines and change the color of them. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Looks like we have that there. And then we're going to do the same thing, clip to layer below. And we're going to take this, make a darker color. And we want this dark pink here. Change the color of this heart. And then probably also change the color around the eyes. And there we have it. You might want to give him a little bit of shine in those eyes just to give off a little bit more light and personality. So I'm going to go ahead and take that light color we have there, go onto our color layer, and then we want the mapping pen. Go ahead and take this light pink color. Also add here, I think a nice little shine. You want it to be kind of curved there, so it looks like it's bubbling out. And there we go. Maybe just fix up this line a little bit more. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to put a black background over our gray one, just to see if there's any little lines here that need to be shaped up, which it looks like there's quite a lot. So we're going to go ahead and take this, copy paste there, and then we're going to take this, cover that up in there. Missed some spots here. And it really just helps you to get any of those little bits that you may have missed. And if you're going to be using this as like a PNG, meaning the background is transparent, you definitely want to make sure that you get rid of any of those little spots that might be showing through, because otherwise you will have things showing up behind your image that shouldn't be there. And there you have it. You have a nice little glow guy. And then he has all of his colors all nice and done up. So we're gonna go ahead and take this, do the last little adjustments here and there. Quite honestly, tiny little details that nobody's really going to see, but still something that I would like to take care of. We want our emotes to be a little simple. So I think for this one, we're not going to be adding any shading. So I'm going to go ahead and take that background away, take the color palette away, and we will save this as a PNG. And label it Twitch Emotes Heart. Just to make sure that it is nice and labeled. There we have it. And there is our nice first little Twitch emote that, again, cannot be used. So if at any point there is art that you're like, wow, that's so cute, I wish I could use that, and you're not Following. I almost said subscribed. I do believe that is very different on Twitch. There's following and there's subscriptions, and they're different. If you're not following, please feel free to hit that button. It costs absolutely nothing, and you get to look at cute stuff like this. Maybe even suggest art to be done in the future. We're going to go ahead and shift gears just a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about some things that I'd like to do in the next stream before we go ahead and wind down for today. So earlier, I accidentally clicked on this image and you got a little sneak peek of it. But this is the PNG tuber design that I had come up with just in this past week. As you can see, she's not finished. There's a lot of shading and lighting and other things that I still need to do on this character. But after a certain point of designing this character and getting myself familiar with her, I decided that it was not right for me, which is unfortunate because, as you can see by the many, many layers here, many, 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 many layers, like just so many layers, even more layers in all of these. I definitely worked on this character for a little while. I definitely went through some different phases for her and different designs. So it's not like she was just pulled out of thin air. But again, it was just something that I felt was not entirely representative of me. So unfortunately, this character design will likely be scrapped. I am planning on finishing her up just to be able to rig her and see how it moves. However, don't expect this to be in use next stream. If you do see her, it will probably just be a little cameo, just a little pop-up to show off the work done for this character. I definitely would like to design a PNG tuber slash VTuber model that will be in the corner of the screen. I think that's a very cute thing to do, and I've seen countless others have really, really adorable characters that they use to represent themselves. And I would definitely like to hop on that bandwagon of people who have just a little guy in the corner. So hopefully by next week I will have more than just a scrapped design to show you. If we're really lucky, I'll be able to have an entire PNG tuber ready. So we'll see how that goes. We're gonna be going ahead and wrapping up the stream now. I would like to thank anyone and everyone who stopped in today, whether you watched me live or you are watching the VOD here on Twitch or here on YouTube. Any type of support is greatly appreciated. Likes and subscribes and all that, yada yada. I will be streaming again this next Friday at the allocated time. Go ahead and check my Twitch for any updates. Hopefully, I will be able to catch other people next week and I will be more on time than I was today. So, thank you so much for stopping by for our short little art stream today. I know it wasn't all too exciting for the stuff that we did today, but I thought it was rather relaxing and quite nice. So Thank you again for stopping by. Hope to catch you next week. And yeah, see you later. Uh,